Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be looking at two of my favorite dividend income ETFs, SPYI and QQQI. The reason I like these ETFs is because they're high income, and I'm going to break that down for you right now. What does high income ETF means? It means that the dividend yield is going to be high enough to where we're going to be able to use this to pay bills if we accumulate enough. Now let me give you an example here. So right now we're sitting at 51.52 a share. This is for an S&P 500 again. So we're going to look at a few things here. Gross expense ratio is 0.68%. It's a little expensive, but we're going to talk about why here. We can see that it holds the top 10 holdings in the S&P 500. Again, we can always view more. If you're sitting on here Fidelity, you can view more. We're going to scroll down and I'm going to show you what exactly this is into so you get a better idea. This is what the returns are looking like in 1 year here. For every year, it's returning about 19%. On average, we want to be getting about 11 to 12% from this. Plus we're getting a dividend and the yield is going to be about at 11.9 to 12%. I'll show you that in a moment. But here's what it has returned so far in the life of the fund. We're going to come up here to performance and risk, and I want to show you exactly what this is going to look like and why they're charging this amount. So on a hypothetical value chart here, okay, this fund, the inception of it when it started, okay, we can see it was back in 2022. All right, all life of the fund, we can see exactly right here when they're marking that. It's on August 29th, 2022. And we can see if hypothetically, if we had that amount and we just let it sit there, it would be accumulating to $11,607 and then $13,816. We can see on average it's about 19%. We can see a benchmark of the S&P 500 is 25%. Remember, S&P 500 is typically only returning about anywhere from 8 to 10% on average. I know the last 2 years were extremely above normal, around 23 to 26, even 27% returns, depending on what brokerage app you're using or website. It can vary a little bit, but it's on average, we're anywhere between 8 to 10% on S&P 500 returns. If we scroll down here, we can see quarter end average totals. So what is the NAV return? 19.03. We can see that changes just by a point, the NAV return, the market return. So you guys can look at that better. Go ahead and stop the video. We're going to scroll back up here now. So we can see that the NAV erosion, I'm sure you guys have heard that term before, NAV erosion. It's when an ETF pays a high yield, the price of the shares may go down. It's been staying consistent, which is nice. I like to see that. We can also come up here to ratings and analysis. We're getting a B rating from this, so it's not the best, but it's still good. We can look at distributions and expenses. So this is what I wanted to talk to you guys about. So the yield, right? When we look at ETFs, we want to understand what is that yield? Where is our money going? And this is right here. The distribution yield right here is at 12.04%. Now, this is obviously going to change. We can always estimate things a little differently. So we can look at the 30-day yield. What would that be? It's at 0.68%. I'll let you do the math on that as always, but you can see this and understand where is this fund actually going in the sense of dividends. Remember, the thing with these funds, this one SPYI and QQQI, which I'll talk about in just a moment, they are price appreciating similar to SCHD. As we all know, it is the dividend king. If we scroll down here, we can see what this is going to look like on price appreciation, where it's been going, what the dividend income has been per share, how this is actually coming to be, right? So let's go up to here. We can actually do a comparison right here of what's going on in the portfolio. So we can see where this is being held in the sense of overall, right? So other, it's 62.38%. We'll get into that later. Top 10%, we're sitting at 37.17%. Here are the top 10 holdings, which is indicated right there. So let's view all of this. So we can see this is what it's holding within the fund. And obviously we can go down. I'm not going to bore you with all of that, but you can see that for yourself. Let's flip on back to the other page. So we can see where are the equities, right? We can understand it by the region or the country, depends on what you want to see there. Let's go to the chart here so we can understand where is this chart going and what it has been looking like since inception. So we can go to the max. So we can go to the very beginning here and we can understand where this fund was going, right? So back here on August 30th, 2022, the opening price, right, we can see was a high of 49 49.90. So just right under that $50. And we can see the price has been going up and going down, and it dropped here. And we can see the date that was in 2023, October, went down to $46.78. And we can see now we are sitting at right now 51.09 with a high of 52 and a low of 50.40. So it's been price appreciating. Remember, we're also getting that dividends, which is so nice. And then we're going to go now to QQQI, and I'll show you it's still by the same brand, Neos Funds. So looking at QQQI, this is the NASDAQ 100 Neos Funds, very high yielding dividend ETF. And I'm going to talk about that in just a moment here. But we can see again the top 10 holdings, what the price was per share, what the gross expense ratio. It's exactly the same as SPYI. We can see all the information that we want here at a quick glance. We can see the ratings. We can come down here and actually let me just scroll up just a bit here and let you guys see. So life of the fund, this is a newer fund, just so you guys know, 19.43%. Now let's come up to the performance, right? We always want to see that performance and risk. Where has this been going? So hypothetical growth, right? Again, of that $10,000 value would be sitting at $12,158. We can see that this fund was actually just started last January. Not that long, exactly 1 year of data we have gathered from this. So it's been returning quite impressive returns. So if this is something you want to keep in your portfolio, I would, and consider it adding into the basket of funds like SCHD, QQQI, and SPYI, have them all used together. So let's scroll up to the top again here, and I want to show you what the distributions and expenses look like. So one thing I'm noticing here is the distribution yield, they are not showing it, but typically this will be a little bit higher on other accounts. You'll actually see it like on Robinhood or Webull, and it's actually sitting at around 12 to 13% depending on what brokerage you're looking at. But we can just actually calculate it right here on the 30-day yield. We can see where the money has been going per quarter, right? So we can see quarter one, right? I'll let you guys pause the video if you need to see that closer, and we can see where exactly this money has been going and what the distribution is. And also you can notice the price appreciation of the shares have been going up, which is nice to see. Now let's look at the chart just so we can check that out. And what's really nice about this is that the price of this specific ETF has been going up since inception. So we can see back here, price started at $50.12, was actually a lie. Let me go back just a little bit more. Right there, actually started at $50 exactly. And then now we are sitting at $52.92. So it's nice, it's been price appreciating. Remember, this fund is only 1 year old. One more thing we want to do is actually compare both of these funds in one of my favorite websites. We're going to do that right now. This is one of my favorite websites to use. It's called the Dividend Channel. So what we can do is plug in SPYI and QQQI, and we can go ahead and hit chart 10K. So let's go ahead and look at this chart now. So if we reinvested our dividends right here, we can see that's the best way to get our total return at the highest. So we're sitting at $12,253.56. Now notice our total return right here. I'm going to highlight this for you guys. We're sitting at 22.54%. SPYI, which is, remember, the S&P 500, we're only sitting at 17.69%. Now let's come down and look at SPYI and QQQI. Notice the total return has dropped 16.08% versus the 20.95%. I'll highlight that again for you guys so we can see where this is going in the long term. So think of it. These funds are only a year to two old. Imagine in 10, 20 years. These funds will be amazing returns. So I hope that gets you a better idea of where your money is going. My favorite thing to look at on this website is what would the ending investment be? Dividends reinvested, we can see we're sitting at $12,253.56 versus without dividends reinvested, we're sitting at $12,094.53. So we can see quite a significant difference when we reinvest our dividends and when we do not reinvest our dividends with two of the best high income ETFs. I hope this video helped everyone out. Please let me know if you have any questions down in the comments below. I'll try to get back to them as soon as possible. And as always, thank you for supporting the video, and I'll see you in the next one.